Alright, this is my daily update for my build and public log. It's February 1st, 2025. It's been a really rough last 24 hours. God, it's been pain. In yesterday's video, I talked about how I got everything working locally, okay? I had a backend, there was an API, I can make calls to the API, it would kick off an async task where the agent would run. Everything was looking really good. I got trigger.dev working, I had it running there, agents were running, things were going great. So I thought things were not actually what they seemed to turns out. So I was running in dev mode. So when you work on software, for those of you that may not know, you work on your local machine. You get the server working on your machine or whatever you're working on, because it's much easier and faster, ideally. And then you know, it's like a light fake server. Sometimes it's the whole entire real server. And then you push up your changes and deploy them to whatever the cloud server, wherever, you know, your thing is going to run, AWS. And your local environment, you try to get it to match the real thing as closely as possible. And that's why Docker is very popular, because you can very, very closely mimic exactly how it's going to run on the server. So you try to get as close to that as possible. And I thought everything was working, but turns out it was not working at all. And the API backend part is totally fine. How it works with trigger.dev is you actually, when you run in dev mode, it's pretty different than how it actually works in production. Your code gets pushed up to the server to run via ngrok. So a tunnel. Essentially, you establish a tunnel and you use the API to connect to your actual server and kick off things there. Well, if you're in staging or production, you have to actually push up a Docker image to like Docker Hub, and then that gets actually deployed, and then it uses your Docker image to actually run things in production. It's different. It's really different. So I had everything running in dev, but it turns out that when I actually went to deploy it, which, by the way, I got really, really stuck on. There was a bug, and kudos to the CEO of trigger.dev. I asked in GitHub, like, hey, what's going on? I can't, I'm running into an error. I've been banging my head against the wall, and he responded like really fast in like 30 minutes. So kudos and huge thank you for responding right away. So that worked. I got it deployed. I got my local code that trigger runs deployed. I had the Docker image like built, gets pushed up, it got deployed to the actual server. Okay, so I am self-hosting, or at least I'm attempting to self-host trigger.dev. Now trigger.dev is a pretty complicated orchestration for like long-running async task, so where like an AI agent or something would run. The way they actually run it for their cloud version is pretty damn complicated and different than the self-hosted version. But the self-hosted version, how I had it set up, was a huge mess. That's what I was told. So how I have it set up on the server was just not correct, and somebody pointed me to like instructions on how to actually do it. So everything was up and running, and that took me quite a while to get going. And somebody's like, no, that setup is completely wrong. It's not going to work. It kind of works, but not really in production. You got to use this set of instructions. So I've spent hours on this new. So I tore everything down that I had, which is so frustrating because it took me a long time to get it going. and then I'm trying to get it working again, and I'm running into all these bugs and all these issues. So I'm at my ends. Like, I've spent so many hours on this, and at this point, it's like, is it worth continuing on? There's tons of bugs and issues. I don't know. I think I need to keep moving, to be completely honest with you. One thing I did yesterday was I used, okay, so how I figured this all out was I started doing just like very easygoing load testing. So I was using a tool called K6. This is a very standard tool to just go and hit your endpoint and do just basic load testing. I'm trying to build an API service, so it actually has to like respond to real users using it. So I started off with just like a simple test like this. Just have 20 people hitting, it's all fake, of course. You run this tool and it mimics 20 people just hitting the API for someone casually, and then it ramps up and ramps down. And it totally failed. Like, it totally didn't work. It was like horrendously slow. And as the queue got filled up, it took a long time. And so I was like, okay, something's weird. Something's wrong here. And I went digging, and I realized, when you're running in dev, it's like a crippled kind of version. You got to run in production or staging. Oh, okay, fine. So that's why I, did all the work to try to get it deployed. Ran into tons and tons of trouble, only to realize that my setup was completely wrong. And I at this point, I'm just like, should I even bother? Should I just continue on trying to self-host? So I don't know. At this point, I'm trying to make that decision. I'm done for the day. My brain is fried. I've worked just ridiculously hard all day. I'm going to call it quits after this and sleep on it and come back in the morning fresh. But why do I want to self-host? Because I want to control all the data. I want to keep the cost really low. I was looking at the pricing for this, and it's like, wow, if there is actually truly a lot of people hitting this thing and a lot of people using it, the cost could be very high, like hundreds and hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars. I need to do more testing, but it looks like it could get pricey pretty quick. So I'm gonna do a little bit more experimenting and think on it. All right, so that's my update for today. My brain is feeling fried. On to my random story. It'll be a quick one here. When I first started my career as a software engineer, I worked at this really fun place. Honestly, the best job I've ever had in my life was working at this place. That's a story for another day. I was in charge of a pretty high visibility project where you had to go through all these pages, and there was this nav bar at the bottom of the screen. Okay, I won't go into the details. Just there was a navigation bar like on the page, like as you keep clicking to different pages, it was always there. And I added an Easter egg to the product. So there's a famous code from Nintendo. It's called the Konami code. So there's a goddamn Wikipedia page. This is so famous. So remember, this is from like Nintendo times, so a long time ago. So you do this. You press up, down, down, left, right, B, A. And a lot of games and a lot of stuff still use this Konami code. Literally, the other week I tried playing a video game like somebody made online, and the Konami code worked and fired like a secret weapon. So this is very like famous. So what we did was we added a Konami code, or I did. I kind of worked with somebody a little bit. He helped me slip this into the code. I know I'm very naughty. So when you do it was like a Konami code, but I think we changed one letter because it interfered with something, I don't know, on the page. And when you did it, on top of this bar, like the entire screen turned into the first Mario, like level, like a GIF, it's like do 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 do, and he runs. It's like very famous. He hits the block, and he goes through the first level, not the entire thing, just the first, I don't know, 10 seconds or whatever. If somebody pressed the right combination, you would see this thing, and it would take over the screen, and it would be Mario. Well, I fucked up. I was a much junior developer in my defense than I am now. So I fucked up so after I left this job, I got a new job somewhere, and a friend who still worked there told me how the CTO was pissed, and he was ranting and raving. He's like, who added this stupid humongous GIF? It's like 6 megabytes. This has been around for like a year. This is used, I don't know, like half a terabyte of bandwidth, because on every page load, I added this stupid GIF. Oops. I should have dynamically added it to the page when you did the code. You know what I mean? Like it downloads it and then it shows it. But I couldn't, I think I couldn't get that past code review, so I slipped in that actual GIF somewhere in the code base, but it was loading it onto every page. And this was a tool to test like all of the work. So people would go through and test and load this page like over and over and over again, like thousands and thousands of times. And so it loaded that image every single time. I mean, okay, it wasn't that. I don't know. It was like gigabytes of bandwidth, and bandwidth, it's not like it was that expensive back then. This isn't like the 90s or something. So, I don't know. I don't think it was that big of a deal. Yes, I fucked up, and I should have made it dynamically load the image, but whatever. It was pretty funny. They were cracking up at him, and they knew it was me, some of the people there, and they were like, Steven, like, his stupid Easter egg. And only one person found it. This guy who was this crazy QA guy that worked there, like crazy, and he was so goddamn good. He would find everything. He was such a good QA person, and of course he found this somehow, and he messaged me one time, "What is this?" And he sent a screenshot. I just started cracking up. Anyways, I love Easter eggs. I wish things weren't so serious nowadays, and now you can't do fun stuff like that at a lot of places. But that wasn't my only Easter egg at that job, that's for sure. All right, that's all I got for today. Hopefully, I could get through this self-hosting stuff and figure this all out, because this is really blocking me and holding me back. So I'll let you know tomorrow what I decide what to do. All right, see you tomorrow.